Hello and welcome back. After the evenings I spent observing Jupiter in November of 1973, it was about 4 or 5 evenings, I really didn't know what to do with this because it certainly was interesting and it seemed to make sense. But I had no idea, was it just a passing thought, something that would just come and then go on forever? And it was holiday time, and I was still drinking pretty heavily back in those days, so it was easy to let this pass for a time and just not do anything with it. But it turned out that I guess that wasn't meant to be, because I had gone on the wagon again, and it was a little bit more than a month of dry time, early February of 1974. I was sitting at home. Home was a mansion on a hillside in upstate New York, so I had all the comforts there. Of course, I was in very poor health at the time. Had a heart condition, according to the doctors, high blood pressure, and I believe that at 260 pounds, I didn't become diabetic because of the old saying, ignorance is bliss. Now, the reason I say this is that during the Western expansion in this nation, someone observed that Indians, the Native Americans, did not stutter. And when whoever it was who made their business to investigate this matter determined that none of the English of the Indian languages had a word for stuttering. So some helpful people coined a word for stuttering that was adopted into the native dialects, and Indians began to stutter. So I would attribute my passing on diabetes with the fact that I'd never heard of it. Anyway, beyond that, here I was sitting along outside. There's a snowstorm. Here I'm sitting at home watching television. The wife is sleeping. I'm in a pajamas and a robe, and just chilling, you might say. And suddenly, I am hit with this burst of energy. I don't know where it came from. It was very distracting. I was watching a Tom Snyder interview, and if you remember Tom Snyder, he was a talk show host back in the 60s, 70s. And this burst of energy was so jarring that I just completely lost track of the interview, and I was just kind of restless and nervous, like I have to do something, but I don't know what. And so I decided that maybe I'd just better relax and just take a few deep breaths and settle down. And when I did, the next thing that popped into my mind was ancient astronauts. Now, the theme of ancient astronauts had captured the imagination of millions of people in the late 60s, and I think it was in the late 60s, early 70s, and with 2 books called The Chariots of the Gods, The Gold of the Gods, a 60-minute television documentary narrated by Rod Serling, and a full-length motion picture. And in all these sources, one thing was mentioned prominently, And that was that there were passages in the Bible that suggested a high technology back in those days. Well, oddly enough, I'm the atheist at this time. I can't even stand organ music. So the last place I'd ever looked to find anything is the Bible. But it was funny that I had one, and it was given to me a few years earlier in a conversation I had with, it was a young black fellow, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but it might have been around spiritual topics, and he handed me a brand new Bible. And I tried to beg off. Well, no, thank you. I don't touch the stuff. But he wanted me to have it so much that yeah, okay, I'll take it. And from then on, everywhere I moved, without realizing it, I take this Bible with me. So now when all this is happening in early February of 1974, there's the Bible. It was across the room on a bookshelf. So I went and got it, and then suddenly I'm focused. This is it. I'm going to go through the Bible, and I'm going to find if I can, or see if I can find any passages that suggest that maybe there was a high technology in those days. Something like, the Ark of the Covenant, Ezekiel's wheels in the air, and maybe the possibility that the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by nuclear weapons. Well, I think I was sidetracked a little bit, but no, not really. It was just a winding path that led ultimately to what I originally started looking for. And I picked up so much information along the way. And I'm going to close with a couple of videos that I made that explain what it was that I found. And then we'll come back and pick it up later on. So here they come, and of course I'm going to bid you sayonara and have a great life and have the best day ever today. And of course, if you like this, you can click on the like thing that goes this way. Don't do this one, but anyway, here is the rest of the presentation. Hope you enjoy it. Take care. Love you. This is the chart that I came up with, and actually spent the rest of that night and into the early morning hours going over it. But here you see in the above that first line the generations of Adam, which are listed in chapter 5. That's what the 5 is there for. Genesis chapter 5. And I was looking at that as I was making my way through the book looking for evidence of high technology, and came to wonder, how could people have lived so long? And of course the king of the hill here was Methuselah, 969 years, and then Enoch, who didn't die at this age. He was called away for some reason. So if we take away Methuselah and Enoch and average the rest, you find that it comes out to 912 years. And of course the Bible doesn't explain how this comes to be, and we aren't really sure just what specific length of time the year actually was. And after reviewing this and thinking about it for a couple of minutes, I decided, well, we probably just aren't going to know. And so let's just keep paging through the Bible and look for signs of high technology. Well, I didn't get very far, because now in the space between the two lines, we find chapter 11, which lists the generations of Shem, Noah's alleged son. I say from this information that Noah and Shem probably never knew one another. And even though Shem does live a long time, he only lives to be 600 years, not quite 2/3 the length of the average for Adam. And the rest of those names are Pashad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, and poor old Terah, who only lived to be 205 years. They're all part of the same, what I believe to be a dynasty. Such a diminishment in vital durability over a short period of time seems incongruous. It seems more likely that these are widely spread heads of dynasties spread out over the course of 3.8 to something like 4.2 million years. And it was after the discovery of Shem's lineage that I just wondered what I would find in the rest of the Bible, assuming that the books are in a chronological order. So beginning with Abraham and going down the line, we see that this vital durability continues to diminish until we come to David and Solomon, who lives to be only 70 years of age. Now the second column, sirehood, is the age at which they were begetting children. And one of my critics was a notable surgeon, a well-known medical doctor, and when he examined the list, he said that these ages at childbearing or conceiving children were consistent with the proportionality of modern day, someone who lives to be 76 or 80, that they are capable of fruitful relations as early as age 12 and up to, well, for the most part, 45 or 50, but there are even instances that go beyond that. So this is the result of about 24 hours of sleepless but energetic perusal of the Bible. The next step was to create a curve, and I chose to do this by drawing an ellipse with a 3% distortion, putting the Descartes lines in it, and using the third quadrant, which would bring a curve starting up at the top where you see the atom listed, and coming down in a gradual glide path down to where it levels off. And this is not the original. This one, the original got lost somewhere. So this is just an idea, a simplification of it, so that you can see what I was thinking. The striations along the bottom are increments of 100,000 years each. And the reference is the Great Ice Age, which occurred 1.5 million years ago, and it is my belief that that is the point at which the Earth began to fall back into the sun. This is nothing to be alarmed about. We'll be out here for a good long time yet, probably a couple billion more years. But there's a little problem with that, and I'll cover that later on. Anyway, now the concept is beginning to take shape. And then we get to the next part, which is Genesis 6. So I'll cut this off for now, and wish you all a great day, and I'll be back shortly, so look for me. You can like it if you want, or tell your friends about it, because we're just about ready to start really pursuing this great adventure, and you're invited to come along. Thank you, and have the best day ever.